Welcome to r/relationships, where in our first story, the writer finds her husband in an affair and, well, I guess you'll just have to listen to find out what happens in this one, won't you? Welcome to the Markee channel. I'll be reading out these stories for you today. I would love to know what you guys think of it down in the comments below. Enjoy. I caught my husband in an affair and I don't know how to move on. I've suspected things had been going on for a while, but I kept brushing it off. I thought he would never do that to me. Since around April, he's been refusing my attempts to have sex most of the time, sitting differently on the couch to where he's facing away from me. Little things. It's with one of our good friends. She came to my house a few weeks ago. She's texted me, and she's pretended to be there for me. I found out because I rolled over, and they were having a Snapchat conversation. She said she wished she could be there to hold him, and he summarized that I tried to seduce him last night and mocked it. I confronted him and he admitted it. He said that it was because quarantine was stressful. He does not want to work things out, and he thinks of me only as a friend in his heart. When I told her husband, he confronted her, and apparently they actually kissed back in February. I think at that moment, I was never going to be enough for him. We used to be so happy. The week before they kissed, we celebrated Valentine's Day together. He bought us a nice bottle of wine for our anniversary. We had fun. We were perfect. I don't know where to go from here. We've been married only about a year. I feel like he took so much from me and doesn't even want to go to therapy or to work this out. I don't want to leave my house, but everywhere in it I see him. He chose her. I've been cheated on in every relationship I've ever been in. He was supposed to be my forever. I don't know what to do. I've made therapy appointments, but I was also laid off last month, so I have too much free time to analyze every single moment where he might have been lying to me or where I made myself pathetic trying to cling to him. How do I start to get through this? TLDR, my husband had an affair and does not want to try to work out our marriage. I feel like I'm drowning, and I don't know how to start moving on. Now in the comments, Finn Finite says, lawyer first. Get the divorce filed and get their advice on if it's okay for you to leave the house while things are processing. As for the other, you need to fill your time. Devote yourself to hobbies, including picking up new ones. Rely on friends, long video calls, watching movies together, etc. Fill as much of your time as you can until things start to process. I'm so sorry he gave up on you without even trying, hun. You deserve far better than that. It's a shame some people are so good at hiding how little respect they have for other folk, but please hold on to the fact that none of this was your fault. There is absolutely zero reason for a partner to cheat, ever. And there is absolutely no justification that can put even a shred of the blame on you. And OP replies, thank you. The worst thing is that he tried to turn it on me this morning, that things had been off. But it only started being off when he started this affair and he began gaslighting me. OP, remember, he made an active choice to cheat. Every day, every time he lied, every time he texted her, he was actively choosing to lie to you and hurt you. He had other choices. He's just feeling guilty right now. So of course he's going to try to push it on you. He'll keep doing it because he's obviously someone that doesn't take responsibility for his actions. At the end of the day, you get to leave with your integrity and he doesn't. Obit Addictor says, you can't go to therapy and work this out. It only gets worked out if both people want to put the effort in. And your husband has made it clear he's not interested in trying to make this relationship work. He directly told you that. You need to find a lawyer and file for divorce. And OP replies, thank you. I guess it's just hard to watch him blow up his own life so spectacularly. It's like I'm watching a cruel puppet of my husband. That's actually pretty common when someone's double life is exposed. They go cold, they shut down, they lash out, they adopt a whatever, I don't care kinda attitude. It's the fastest way to push away the intense guilt of hurting the people who love them the most and the overwhelming shame of being caught. They are trying to convince themselves as much as everyone else that what they're doing is okay, and anyone who doesn't like it can get screwed. It's how they regain a sense of control after being exposed against their will. And yeah, it usually looks like invasion of the body snatchers to their betrayed loved ones. This person looks like the person you love so much, but they're acting like a total stranger. It's some wild crap. You're not the first to experience it, and you won't be the last. And OP replies, I find some sort of solace in this. I did inform the other woman's husband as well, and we've been kind of leaning on each other for the past couple of hours as support. It helps. I'm glad you have support right now. I'd diversify that support and reach out to trusted friends and/or family members and fill them in when you're ready. Both of you will need your own sets of cheerleaders for what comes next. And now onto the update. First of all, I just want to thank everyone here for the support I received following my first post back in August. At the time, it truly felt like my world was ending. It was important to me to make this update because I need to tell anyone who's currently going through the same thing, it gets better. You will get so much better. I had one conversation with my husband since everything happened, by his choice. It lasted maybe 5 minutes and was like talking to a robot. I know from others that he cries to people about how he ruined his life, but I've never once gotten an apology or the same show of regret. At this point, I don't care. I know him and the other woman are still seeing each other, and frankly, they deserve each other. Good for them. While I still feel angry occasionally, I no longer mourn what I once had. Instead, I'm so excited for the life I now get to live. I moved to a small walkable city and gave myself my dream apartment. It makes me so happy to see how I've decorated it and to just live in a cozy place instead of our old dreary house. I was the breadwinner in our marriage, and he would make me feel awful about wanting to pay for nice meals or do fun things. Since moving here, I've done a ton of foodie fun stuff, and I don't feel guilty. It is so refreshing. I've dipped my toe into the dating pool again, and had plenty of mediocre dates from dating apps. Recently, I've found someone who I've really clicked with, and am enjoying how appreciated and desired he's made me feel. It's definitely early, and we're moving slow, but overall, dating has made me realize that I'm a catch who doesn't have to settle. Therapy has done wonders, and I'm so happy I immediately dove into it. My therapist is proud of me, I'm proud of me. I've stopped looking at being divorced as a failure. He failed, not me. I'm genuinely happy and excited to wake up each morning, and I no longer feel like this terrible weight is sitting on my chest. The holidays were surprisingly easy, and I found myself so happy to spend time with my family without having to compromise anything. So all in all, life is good, and there's so much of it ahead. Looking back, I can't believe I wasted so much time thinking about how I could get him to come home. I've made my own home and my own happiness, and that is worth so much more. TLDR, husband left me for another woman, he sucks, but things get better. Now in the comments, Wazowski says, I'm going through a breakup that has left me feeling lost and broken. This gives me so much hope for the future. Tomorrow morning, my journey begins as I go to talk to a therapist for the first time and begin the road to recovery. Thank you for being so strong and sharing your story so others may find their strength through you. You're amazing. And OP replies, so many people told me things would get better, but honestly, I didn't believe it until I started feeling it myself. Just keep putting that faith in yourself and remember, you're so much stronger than you think. You've already done the biggest step, signing up for therapy. Panic Bread replies to that, I'm so glad you're doing well. Can I ask where you moved? I'm looking for a new city. And OP replies, Richmond, VA. I'm absolutely obsessed with the city. Small but walkable and liberal, with a great food, beer, and wine scene. Solid cost of living as well. Deleted says, it made me sad reading your last post that you were worried about overanalyzing the times you might have looked pathetic to him. For starters, he was pathetic for doing that to you, and it's not pathetic being lied to, manipulated, and gaslighted. So I'm glad after reading this post that you see it as his failure and not yours, because that's exactly it. You've done nothing wrong, and you are well rid of this guy. I'm happy you're doing so well. You sound awesome. And Reap Your Soul replies, yeah, that line about seeing the divorce as a failure and then realizing that he failed. That is the best takeaway that OP and anyone else going through something similar can have. I didn't fail. They did. Very powerful message. Our next post is by user Lekastjev Saldakifuj, titled, Stupidest Question Ever. Is there any polite way to suggest a 23 male to cut his eyelashes? I am 100% aware of how silly this is, and it's no big deal if he doesn't. But I'm 21 female, currently dating a man with eyelashes that are very straight and slope down. They almost cover his eyes and block out any light reflecting from them, which gives him a major case of zombie eyes. I'm not kidding. If you look at him, you cannot see a single spark of light. It's sort of disconcerting. They cover his pupils as well, so any changes in dilation are blurred, making it look like his eyes just aren't moving at all. TLDR, very nice guy has eyelashes that make him look like a very nice dead guy. Is there any socially acceptable way to suggest an eyelash curler, or should I content myself with the dating dead? Now in the comments, Mixtape Shuffle asks, does this obstruct his vision? And OP replies, I would assume not, since he works in a place that demands good eyesight. So this is purely a cosmetic issue, which I'm aware makes it totally superficial, which is why I'm not fussed if there's no polite way. I just won't say anything if I can't say it politely, because it's really not a big deal. I was just hoping someone might have some good ideas. Cardinal29 says, I've applied makeup to a number of boyfriends, and for some reason, it always turns them on. Give it a try. An eyelash curler is hardly full drag. It won't resolve your issues though. And now onto the update. So it took 5 years and a marriage, and he curled his eyelashes last week. He found my eyelash curler and asked what it was for, and I told him how to test it on himself. He said he didn't notice any difference, but his eyes sparkled for the first time. He's not going to keep doing it, but at least I know what his pupils look like now, lol. TLDR, I didn't ask him, he asked me. Now in the comments, Bohemian89 says, thank God. I've been on the edge of my seat for the last 5 years. Glad you guys got married and things are okay. Give us another update in 5 years when you've got a house and a couple of kids, alright? Voltaic Sketchy Teapot says, I'd definitely tell him how much you liked his curled lashes. My husband was desperately in need of a haircut, but I honestly didn't realize just how desperately until he got it and I couldn't stop staring at him. I'd forgotten how breathtaking he can be. He played like he was uncomfortable with me staring, but I'm pretty sure he enjoyed it too. This is adorable. I hope you told him he was breathtaking. I've heard most men don't hear compliments about their appearances very often, and try to give them the same positive feedback I'd give a female friend. Probably depends on their partner. I tell my husband how hot and attractive he is way more than he does me. Elder Scrolls says, just a different perspective from a lot of the comments on your old post. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking a partner if they're willing to do something like this for you. My wife colors her hair for me and even tweaked a lot of her outfits per my preferences. She hates grey hair, so I dye my temples for her. She also likes when I wear cologne, so I try to put that on every day. In my opinion, part of being in a relationship is remembering it's not all about either person, and if we can make small changes to make them happy, why would we ever not? Obviously, if you ask and they say no, the analysis changes up, but just asking? Why not? If he tried it and you liked it, bring it up to him. Give him a chance to decide. Our next post is by user Thor442, titled, Me, 36 male, married to my wife, 36 female, for 11 years. And I can't stop thinking about a girl that I dated for 1 month 16 years ago. So I have what I consider to be a good, healthy relationship with my wife. For some reason though, I recently am unable to stop thinking about a girl I dated 16 years ago for the entirety of a month. The relationship was normal for two 20-year-olds. We liked to low-key hang out and have lots of sex. The relationship ended abruptly one day. She and I hung out with a group of people on Saturday night, did our normal at-home thing, then got up on Sunday and went to a friend's college graduation party. Then, as I remember it, she seemed super distant and just up and left, and that was the end of it. I remember at the time I took the breakup really hard. I called off work 3 days, got super drunk, and I cried to my friends. The other night I had a dream about her, and in the dream I kept calling her the one that got away. I know that isn't true in any sense of the word. We definitely both went completely different directions in life as far as I know. I don't really know much about her, as we completely stopped talking at the end of our relationship and never stayed friends. Ever since that dream, I've been rehashing those 4 to 5 weeks, 16 years ago, over and over again in my mind. It's driving me nuts. I'm not sure how to bring this up to my wife, or even if I should mention it. I've read a few self-help articles saying this all really points to me just never getting closure on the relationship. Any and all advice would be greatly appreciated. TLDR, can't stop thinking about the girl I dated 16 years ago. No contact with her in 16 years. Should I discuss with my wife? Advice on dealing with this? Now in the comments, Normality is Restored says, don't mention this to your wife. This is your midlife crisis problem to deal with. You are fearing aging and fearing growing older with things undone. This isn't about that girl 16 years ago. It's about you worrying about all the things you haven't done with your life. I suggest therapy for you, or learn to deal with the fact that you're going to get older and there will always be other things that you can't be a part of. Yeah, definitely don't mention that to the wife. A lot of the time, it's easy to romanticize something that happened forever ago because you forgot about the bad parts and all the reasons that person wasn't meant for us. Just remember that it ended for a reason and you love your wife. Niet Marionetka says, don't mention it to your wife. Odds are, in another month, this girl will have completely left your mind, but your wife might still be anxious if you tell her. This means literally nothing besides that you're temporarily stuck going, what if? It's not about this girl at all. She would be a total stranger to you now, and was pretty much a total stranger to you while you were dating her for barely enough time for a mouse to gestate a litter. It's not even about the lack of closure. What closure do you need from something that barely began? You're just in a rut that we sometimes get into where your life is good, but you wonder if it could have been better. Concentrate on what you have, and if you have areas of dissatisfaction, think of ways to improve those in the future. With the weather warming up, see if you can get out of the house and do something new with your wife. Stay COVID safe though, and don't give these thoughts more weight than they actually have. And OP replies, quote, she would be a total stranger to you now. Complete and total stranger. I don't recall ever seeing her on social media over the years when I used it. I literally have nothing more than a small inkling of what she's doing as a career currently, and nothing more. And to the rest of that post, OP says, I had just mentioned this to my wife yesterday, that she and I need to get out, just us, and do something. Law et al. Says, I think it's natural to get nostalgic about our younger years with fresher bodies and fewer worries. So yeah, as someone who is also in his mid-30s, I don't love the amount of time I have to think about retirement planning now as compared to how little I worried about my job back then. I remember taking multiple days off from work for a bender when I turned 21. I can't even fathom what that would feel like now. At some point, it's worth talking to your wife about how you feel about approaching middle age, and how every step further from youth makes you feel. She probably wants to share the same with you, but I don't think it's great to specifically share. I keep thinking about the great sex I had with this one girlfriend. I wish we had done it more. There is probably a better way to talk about what you're nostalgic about from that time in your life. just in more generic terms with respect to your sex life back then. And OP replies, I think this is it right here. I had just become an active in the fraternity I pledged. I was in the best shape of my life, I always felt like I had trouble with girls, so this organic relationship came along out of the blue, and I'm just romanticizing about that short time period. She just happens to be a part of that. Maybe I need to work on getting myself back into that shape, because that is something I can do, and can relive. And now on to the update. So I mentioned to my wife vaguely that I was having a bit of a midlife crisis and ruminating on my past a bit too much, that I miss how I was physically at my peak in college. She said she was also having a bit of a crisis, worried about long-term health and missing the shape she was in before kids. We made a commitment to each other to get into shape and have changed our eating habits and bought a treadmill. I have been working out daily and my rumination issues have really dwindled. We also planned a nice vacation and a few get-togethers with friends in the next few months. TLDR, told my wife I was having a crisis without much detail. We are making strides to better ourselves and each other. Now in the comments, I love TX says, that's a great update. I can promise you that 1 month relationship would have never worked out because it didn't. And how it ended suggests that it never had staying power. I hope that getting into shape helps you both. I think the pandemic also makes relationships tough because you're likely no longer getting out and doing the things that brought you together. Or simply having the time apart in separate interests. At least that's been the case with my marriage. I think that would make it tempting to fantasize about some other reality that could have been. But really, it could never have been. The fantasy is what kills us. It never plays out like it does in our heads. I mean, I even ruin potential relationships before they happen because I fantasize about what it could be and then get disappointed. It's easy to get huge crushes on people because we fantasize about what they might be like. But then when we get to know the person we've been imagining things about, we realize it's all a lie and the lust/crush fades away. BoJack Horseman, anyone? I bet OP is fantasizing just like this about that girl, and in reality, they could have ended up having a terrible relationship, or just platonic. On Tour for Eternity asks, are you still obsessing over the girl from 16 years ago? And OP replies, nope. After my wife and I talked, we had really passionate sex, and all thoughts are pretty much gone. Thank you. Posts and comments like this are so refreshing to read on Reddit, and I'm happy for you. I'm a single woman in my early/mid-30s and was on the verge of giving up hope for finding a life partner. And Seen Missing says, this was a good choice. Often, fleeting past love seem magical in hindsight because you never had to deal with the long-term stuff. You remember small bits in time, but that's not realistic over the long term. And because usually young love is not fraught with all the stresses of true adulthood, I can have warm memories of my relationship between my high school boyfriend and I, but a large part of why it was good was because there were no real worries or stress at that time. Even shorter relationships just get the rose-colored glasses by association with easier times in our lives. One of my favorite movie quotes is, only unfulfilled love can be romantic. I don't fully agree myself, but I think it really nails how some people see it. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.